Hey guys, this is Brooks from Mayday Parade, and you're watching the Midwest Mixtape Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, live from the barn. You got the Mox here, and I'm joined online right now with a special guest. We have Brooks from Mayday Parade. Brooks, how are you, man?
Doing great. Yeah, it's a great day. Good weather.
Are you down in Florida?
I'm not. I'm in New Jersey, so maybe it's even better down in Florida. But it's cool enough outside to put on a jacket, but the sun is shining.
It's an exciting time for Mayday Parade. You're celebrating 20 years this year, and I'd say you're doing it in style. New album, new North American tour, a bunch of festival shows, and it seems like you're really doing it up this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we're always working, we're always pushing. I think the only time we ever slowed down was during the pandemic, right? And but yeah, of course, coming up on the 20-year here and getting ready to go out on the road. We've been really excited about the new music we're doing. We're always thinking about what's coming up next year, what do we need to be doing? And I got to tell you, it comes in phases with me sometimes. Sometimes I will fall out of music a little bit, where you just won't pick up a guitar. But I mean, I'm on one right now where all I want to do is play music, write music. I do a lot of lessons online with people, and that is immersed me in music more in a way that I've never been. It's crazy because I'm playing the guitar all day, every day, and loving it. Having to be, engaged and, showing up, I do a lot of them online here, right? So if I hop on, and, somebody's paying me to give them, the best advice I can give them and to give them the best writing session I could do with them, or understanding of what they need to go towards next with their, music theory or physical playing, it keeps you excited because, for one, you want them to be excited about what you're doing, but it's kind of like a snowball or revolving effect where when you help someone with music, or even if you're just working on your own music and you're creating something that you're excited about, it just has this natural, exponential, elevation, and keeps you engaged and just keeps you in the phase of let's just keep playing music,
So let's get, I guess, maybe a little bit of a free guitar lesson here. What's the first thing you tell guitar players that are maybe just starting out?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you're going to have to learn the major scale right off the top, and this is boring, right? Because I'm just talking to you, right? But it would be boring if I tried to spell out, right? Exactly what that means in the system that I use with a Nashville number system with that, right? But when I introduce anybody, they could be that they've never even picked up a guitar before, you're going to start to understand the major scale right off the top. And it's something that people fly by so often when I talk to people in life, even musicians who are good at what they do, right? They may pass by this simple theory. And when I teach them that first major scale and we put it into numbers from 1 to 7 back to 1, and I tell them that this is the holy grail, the most important thing that they'll ever learn, and do not underestimate it. We're not flying by this and going on to the next step. You're going to take this tool and use it every day of your life for the rest of your life. I feel like when I'm teaching that and I get them to understand it and break it down for them, or get a breakthrough with them, especially with people who have some understanding of playing the guitar, it's such a cool feeling to break down those walls and those barriers of I don't know what to do on the guitar, but I wrote these 3 chords and this feels good, but I don't know what else to do. It's well, let's go back to the simplest thing that you should understand. And once they start getting that, the whole world of music just explodes. It just opens up every door.
How do you teach the crafting of songs? Is that something you work on? Because that's a different type of skill, right, than the technical prowess of being able to play.
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning new things every day, and I've been playing music for 27 years, professionally for 20. And I think that I'm still learning things. I'm still learning things when it comes to writing a song and finishing it in a way that it can be the best song it can be. And of course, that's subjectional, right? Like what you would write and what you think is best. I could be sitting in a room writing with you, and what you think the song should end on is going to be different than what I do. You know, most of the time, we will probably come to a conclusion though, where we're like, oh, well, I like this lyric and I think this fits good. And like, we'll be like, yeah, okay. All right. Like we'll come to like an agreement. But what I'm getting at is I've got songs, even songs that I wrote recently, even songs that we've tracked and recorded and put out recently that I look back on even since I've been home since that last session and go, I learned something about songwriting the other day that I don't think I applied to my song, and I had a missed opportunity, you know, and it's, you're like, and where that comes from is like, I can't stop like digging and researching into things that I'm interested in. So I'm looking to other people who are like, you know, talking about, you know, and teaching themselves like online, you know, listening to podcasts, watching, you know, YouTube channels and that sort of thing, and watching people break down how they do things, especially like songs that are like that people gravitate towards universally, like hit songs and that sort of thing. How are they doing that? That doesn't mean I'm going to try and write pop music for a Mayday track, right? But I'm going to take some of the things that I'm not thinking about that they're thinking about and trying to apply it to what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, that's just like an everyday yearning to learn sort of thing. What I'm getting, but like if I was to like try and break something down for somebody and they brought me a song, like especially like clients, right? I'm going to like slowly work with them on a track. And then I'm going to say, hey, I want you to know that my mind is working this way, and this is what I'm trying to get to. And this is the approach that I think you should try to take, or at least take some of the time. It might not be on this song, and we might go down a path here that we hit a dead end and we go back and we try another route. But just so you know, I want to show my work, you know, like as I'm working with people, I want to show my work and show them my workflow in my head.
We talk about 20 years and, you know, you guys have a following that is just so committed to what you do and have been doing that for, like I said, 20 years. What does that mean to you as an artist to have such a loyal fan base and dedicated fan base?
I mean, it's super humbling, and it's something that I think we're very, I think we're blessed for it. Cause like, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know that there's a lot of bands out there at 20 years who have what we have. You know, it's and that's why I say we're lucky, we're blessed, we're humbled, we're super grateful for it. It's one of those things where like you see, like I always like the idea of being able to have like a larger success or being able to build and grow, right? Like that constant strive for progress, right? Some bands can't even stay like, you know, even, you know what I mean? It's stuff like I always thought it'd be so cool if we had like a radio single, right? But what's crazy is if you look at like a lot of bands who have radio success, they don't have the fans that we have. So we're just in this like privileged spot to be able to like play music and have fans for 20 years and for them to love what you do outside of like this mainstream, you know, idea of what success is.
Do you think with that gives you a little bit more freedom for some of the choices you make? Like if you had this huge radio success, you know, radio hit or whatever that might be, it seems like you might give up some of that creative freedom that maybe you guys are still able to have.
Yeah, it's depends on how you look at it. Because I think for our band, I think you're very, very right about that. Where like you could go down this major label route, which we kind of started to with our second record. Like that was kind of what was happening with Anywhere But Here. We got uplifted to Atlantic Records, and you know we were used to complete control of what we did. And they kind of looked at it a little bit more like, okay, so there's this brand, Mayday Parade, that has like momentum. Let's see if we could take that momentum and go to the next level. But to go to the next level, that means they got to fit in our box. And that some people like that. And I don't think there's any, I'm not trying to knock it. It just wasn't for us, you know? I think if you want to be like, a major, like top 5% type artist, like that's the route, and some people like want to play that game and they want to go and put out, the most worldwide infectious song they can create, which is fun in itself, I think, and it's totally cool. Right. But we came from a world where that wasn't what we listened to so much coming up. And I think gravitated towards what we do, like our style and our genre, more so because it wasn't doing that, because it wasn't so cookie cutter, or it wasn't the expected pop, infectious melody in your head. We were doing it, but we weren't doing it by that rule. We weren't trying to like follow some sort of format. And, so I kind of got lost in what I was saying there, but yeah, basically we have all that freedom, and we continue to have all that freedom, and that because we're dynamically diverse in what we do, and we don't have to fit in a box, I think it gives us longevity.
Is there any band or artist that you would like to model your career moving forward after? Is there somebody that you have a lot of respect for, that you feel like they did it the right way, or are doing it the right way?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of them, really. When I speak about the contrast of the mainstream and then what we do, maybe it gets a little bit blurred in what I'm saying here, right? But like, you have somebody like Jimmy World, right, who came and still is very much within this scope of what our genre is and what we do. They did have some mainstream success. I mean, the Sweetness, right? Like,
huge.
Or like the Middle, even, but I think I'm trying to think. The Sweetness is, when it was much bigger, I believe, right? They had that success, but what they do moving forward isn't necessarily, I don't think they're necessarily trying to recreate that. I think, and I don't even think they were trying to like, be a radio success when they did that. I could be wrong. I don't know, but like their model is amazing. It's just really well written songs for the ages, I think Taking Back Sunday has followed a similar path in that way, where their music is so characteristic to what they do, and I like to think of what we do as that as well, like in a different way, right? We have our own brand, our own sound, but you're just kind of trying to stay in this area, remember where you came from and why like your fans love what you do, while also bit by bit expanding. And I think both those bands do that. I think they're both growing in different directions, but also retaining everything that built them.
In about a month from now, we have the new album coming out, and then also you're kicking off your North American tour. We're going to be catching you in our area at the Pageant in St. Louis on Monday, April 28th, and you're going out on tour with Microwave, Grayscale, and Like Roses. Yeah. A few days before that is the album release, right before you kick the tour off. New album, and this is one of three, right? This is a trilogy project. The album Sweet comes out on April 18th. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about the idea, where that kind of came from for this to be a trilogy project.
We've always been, on labels, and we've currently we're independent, and we wanted, our last deal was up, and we decided like, hey, like what if we self-release, self-fund this? I mean, it's a major ontaking to make sure that you're filling the shoes of distribution in the label. And we're not putting on the hat, but we are having to manage others that we are, basically, we're partnering with to do those jobs out, which is what you basically did with the label too. You were partnering with that label. We're just retaining more of the rights and the percentage on the masters and things like that, and we always have too much music. right? Like we always come into any studio session with over 20 songs on the table. Everybody's writing music. Everybody's like in this like healthy competition to beat out, whoever else in the band on getting their song on records. And the bar is kind of high, or at least as high as it can be, within our group. Right. So we're always putting songs on the back burner, or like going like, oh man, we're only going to cut like 12 songs, or we're only going to do this many. And that means that we have to make a decision between these three, these three are going to not make it. So we're like, well, what if we just start putting out more music though? And what if we can do it more freely at our own pace, and our pace not being slower, but what we want to do, cause we're really putting out a lot of music over a short period of time. And, I think that the music industry and the way that people digest music has changed so much that it's like, well, if we have great songs and we want to continue to keep people engaged and we're excited about what we're doing, why don't we just kind of try to waterfall things a little bit more? Because it seems to be the way that people want to take in music these days. Everything was always formats. You know what I mean? Like the reason like a song was a certain length would have been, for the longest time would have been because it had to fit on a 45 or something, and then we had to like structure like song lengths to like radio, right? And that sort of thing. And that became like a norm. Or like, we had to release albums because it made sense to back it with X amount of dollars, and then you go on tour on it, and that's great. But then like streaming music became more of a thing, right? So like now people just constantly want access to music because they can wake up and just hit play, and for better or worse, like it's just the landscape changed. And I think that, the more that you can keep people engaged with what you're doing, while also super important, I think, is to, keep your quality high. You don't want to release crap songs. That's not our goal at all. It's just, if we've got enough good music, like let's keep it going.
One of the things that I love about Mayday Parade, and I think your fans do too, is all the different sounds that you guys have. One song, and it's specifically the three that you have out now for Sweet, they sound so drastically different, right? And I have a little bit of music ADHD. I might listen to something that's way, death metal and then country music, and that's just how my brain works. And I'm probably not the only way. But, you have a song like Towards You, which is acoustic and it has all these amazing, beautiful strings. And then, by the way, it's sort of this piano driven kind of poppy song, and pretty good to feel something almost like a stabby kind of guitar driven song.
Right.
And I think your fans appreciate that. Does that help you? Does that help you guys when you're writing too?
I think it allows you to do things that you might otherwise get a little bit of writer's block on, because if I can't sit down and like create a song, start working on a song and let the song just be what it wants to be, and I have to try to like bring it back to, we're going to start some palm muting in the verse and we're going to create this pop punky thing or this emo thing where it's just straight guitar driven music. Which is, don't get me wrong, like it's all guitar driven at the end of the day. But if I'm not allowed the stylistic diversity, right, to let that song go into a direction that maybe we haven't done, or we've done, but we haven't done as often as maybe we've done like the more traditional emo thing, the pop punk thing, then you're kind of limiting your creativity and what you can do, and I wrote a country song this week that I'm super stoked on, but like I'm going to try to like bring it back more into an emo thing, but I don't think it will, but what I'm getting at is like I'll go that far. I'll go so far as to know that I'll write a song that I know my band will never play. Right. So can you imagine if we close in those doors like that the bubble shrinks even further, right? Like your creativity just stifles. So I think we did a good job of setting ourselves up pretty early with like piano ballads and things like that. And then up to like, high energy guitar rock songs. So like we've always kept that door open, and we try to keep it open. Also, on top of that, we all write music. So because of that, you get these different styles and influences that enter the band. And then when you put it together as a group, you hope that it becomes the sound of Mayday without going too far out, but don't stifle creativity, because I think that's part of why we've been, successful or stayed around as long as we have, is because we do what we do bring it, we hone it, we bring it back in, but we try to make sure that we're not stifling at the same time.
We're celebrating 20 years of the band this year, but in a couple years, you're going to have 20 years of A Lesson in Romantics. Obviously, all the hits on there, the crowd sing-alongs on Jamie. What did that album mean to you guys in your career?
I mean, from the get-go, it was obviously it was like everything, right? Because like it had such a on fire, momentum to it. And we kind of got in. I feel like we kind of got in on the back end of like when the emo music was really, you were getting on the back end of like the Panic at the Disco stuff and the Jimmy Worlds, the Fall Out Boy stuff, right? It felt like that door was kind of closing in the genre, and it never completely closed. But what happened is like there was just this era of all these bands like Taking Back Sunday and, All American Rejects and stuff. There was like a little bit, larger than where it went like since, right? Like, and I feel like we got in the back end of that window in time. And that was part of that success. But I think most bands just have so many good songs, that they've worked on and written early in their career before, their first releases. So you get this, you get a lot of debut, like amazing records. And that was what that was for us, and then obviously lucky since then that we can keep that momentum. But yeah, I mean, I love that record, when you listen to it, it's great. I think it's a hard thing to try and replicate. I don't think it's ever wise to try and like, copy or like bring back like a whole nother record that's going to sound like that. Because I think, especially with records that are that good, I just don't know that you'll ever recreate it. So you'll just end up with this cheapened version. So you've got that goes back to like the expanding of the musical styles that we do. But yeah, that record still to this day, obviously, is a huge part of our success.
Join here with Brooks of Mayday Parade, and this is the Midwest Mixtape Podcast. They're going to be live and in person at the pageant in St. Louis, Missouri on Monday, April 12th with Microwave, Grayscale, and Like Roses. A couple days before that new album, Sweet, arrives everywhere. Vinyl copies, physical copies, all that?
Yeah, I don't think, to tell you the truth, I should know this better. I don't even know if we're going to do CDs at all. But there certainly is vinyl. Perfect. Yeah, and that's a crazy thing, right? The CDs just kind of stopped, right? Like people they don't buy them. We held on for a long time, but it just seems to be one of those things where it's done, right?
Yeah, you know how it is. It'll probably come back around in 10 years or so, and that'd be the cool thing to have then.
Right. I got a whole stack of other people's albums over here.
Yeah.
on CD. Yeah.
Brooks, appreciate your time today, man. We are big fans here. We can't wait to catch you when you come into town.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Chad. I appreciate it. I love doing these. And so, yeah, I'll look forward to seeing it posted. I'll repost it and seeing you guys in St. Louis. That'd be awesome. Yeah, come say hey. You're coming out, right?
Yep, we'll be there.
Awesome. Cool. All right, we'll see you there.